We had the same moral standing and moral framework as we moved through life. Now we don't. Post-Christian is different than non-Christian, and most people recognize that. Now, non-Christian culture is a culture that has never been evangelized or hasn't become majority Christian ever in their history. So it's a non-Christian culture. A post-Christian culture is a culture that has been evangelized and that has become majority Christian and now is regressing out or moving beyond what they think beyond Christianity. And so Europe is that, England is that, the United States moving towards that. So is Canada moving towards that. In fact, I would say it's already here. We're already in a post-Christian culture in the United States. So what does that mean? It means the assumptions that you grew up with, if you're older than 35, if the assumptions that you grew up with, having conversations with people, that there is objective reality, that there is objective good and moral values, that God likely created the universe, or that God is a reasonable proposition that you can discuss, or that there is truth that isn't just my truth or your truth, but the truth. The fact that that is now questionable and people are brought up in a post-Christian, post-Judeo-Christian culture to say, well, all that's up for grabs. All that's up for grabs. All we have is science. We can rely on that rather than the philosophies of human beings because science is objective. Now, science isn't objective, but that being said, science can be objective, but in a lot of ways the people use it, it's not objective. So that being said, a post-Christian culture and how to engage a post-Christian culture is different than how to engage a non-Christian culture, because a post-Christian culture at least has knowledge of Christian concepts and Christian thoughts and philosophies. So the question isn't, well, do we introduce all these things? They've heard the name Jesus. They know who Jesus is, at least on a nominal level. And so as we interact with people in a post-Christian culture, to bring them back to orthodoxy, we need to start to be specific, establish that there is a truth, there's an objective reality, establish that God exists, that if God exists, we need to find out why we are created. What does he want from us? And then we can talk about objective morality and things of that nature. One of the opportunities for the church in a post-Christian context is to be able to understand that when we open our doors, and this is important for churches, when we opened our doors in 1995, we knew that even if somebody wasn't a Christian, when they walked through our doors, they would have similar values to us. We would be able to put Jesus on top of those values and say, now it makes sense, doesn't it? And that was kind of our evangelism strategy. You want to find hope, you want to find fulfillment, you want to find truth. Here it is. We put that on top of the already established values. So that doesn't mean someone couldn't be a liberal Christian. They could. It doesn't mean someone couldn't be a hyper-conservative Christian. Obviously, there were. But we had the same moral standing and moral framework as we moved through life. Now we don't. Now when we open our church doors, people are not walking in there, even people who say that they're Christians. A recent study said that 60% of people who are professing Christians between the ages of 18 and 40 say that Jesus is not the only way to heaven. Well, then they're not Christians. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. But in a post-Christian context, we've moved beyond exclusivity and into inclusivity. A book that I would love to plug right now is The Thrill of Orthodoxy by Trevin Wax. Great book. It's kind of a small book, but it helps us to navigate some of these waters. So you can pick that up. I think it's only a couple hundred pages. It's a good book to help us navigate some of these waters, because in a post-Christian culture, we need to engage with culture differently. That's what I'm doing here at FreeThinking Ministries, and that's what we're doing as a whole. Hey, don't click out of it yet. Don't click out of this video yet. There's a lot more where that came from. If you like that content, it came from a larger show, FT Monthly. You can click on the playlist and get more there, and a lot more on our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and share.